If you guys are thinking of competing, this is a super important episode for you. 6 things that you have to avoid doing before you compete, mistakes that are made in the locker room or the day leading up to the fight. Avoid these because they could lead to you experiencing a loss. So we are talking about things to avoid before competition, prior to competing. One of the very common questions that I get on the channel is, Gabriel, what should I eat before I fight? What is the best nutrition that I should be putting into my body so I can perform very well? I tell everybody the same thing. Don't worry about what you're putting in your body so much as don't change things. Hopefully you've already taken the time to dial in your diet and you learn from experimenting with your food and then going to a training session what works for you and what does not. You're not gonna find some secret ingredient, some secret recipe that you should be trying to incorporate on the very last moment, your last meal before competition. You should have already tried those meals out and seen if they work for you when you go to the gym. So nutrition-wise, you've got to make sure that you just stick to what works for you, what you normally have, and that will allow you to perform at your best level with no surprises. That's what you don't want. You don't want to try something that somebody told you is really good pre-competition and then find out it just messes you up. The next thing to avoid is forgetting to go to the washroom. You can put on your shorts, you can put on your jock strap, you get your gloves on, your wrist wraps, all of a sudden it's like, shoot, how do I get to the washroom? You're not going to at that point, you are strapped in. So remember to go to the washroom frequently. It could be, oh, I do a couple rounds of skipping or whatever warm-up's gonna be. I get 10 minutes in, run to the washroom, come back. You may need to scoot off to that toilet 2 or 3 times because nerves can play a factor in how frequently you have to visit that spot. And just in terms of remembering that, yeah, once your gloves are on, you're not gonna be able to even get your shorts down. So I run back and forward lots until I go, okay, it's time to put the gloves on. And at that point, I make sure, yeah, I'm done with that facility for now. Next up, we're talking about eating too close to the fight. That is not smart. Now, I'm not gonna say you shouldn't maybe have a little piece of fruit or a granola bar half an hour before you start your warm-up. Of course you can do that, but you don't want to be eating a massive meal. You don't want to leave the hotel and scoot over to the venue and then find out, oh, I have to start warming up 20 minutes after I get there, and you just ate a big massive meal. For me, if I'm competing around, let's say 7 to 9 at night, I usually make my last meal around 4 p.m. Yes, that doesn't mean that you're gonna be stuffed, but I would rather be a little bit hungry than feel bloated and not feel like I have the ability to move around as dynamically as I want to because I'm weighed down by just way too much food. So take a few small snacks, again, ones that really work well for you, and then you just have those leading up to the fight. The next thing that I want you to avoid are any non-fight related warm-up activities. So I have seen people go for full-on runs, like they'll run 2 or 3 kilometers and they're going around these big arenas, or I'll see them doing push-up burpees before, and I'm going, why are you doing that? You're not gonna get in any better shape right now. You're just trying to warm up. And to me, if you're gonna be getting ready to compete in fight sports, you might as well utilize fight sports to warm up. Plus, that's exactly, hopefully, what you've been prioritizing your training on, and there's no point in being like, okay, let's go do some push-ups or some jump squats or anything like that. Stick to fight-related activities for your warm-up. That is just my opinion, but I think it's very good advice. Something else to consider and to try and avoid is wearing fight apparel or fight gear for the very first time when you're about to compete. So if you're somebody who never wears ankle braces, but then you pull ankle braces on, or for me, a good example, in my first karate combat fight, I went from wearing shorts pretty much my whole fight career to all of a sudden I have to wear karate pants. If the very first time I put those on was as I was walking out to the event, that would be foolish. So you might not get to try on the exact shorts you're wearing if the promotion provides it, but you can get used to exactly what they're going to give you. If you're something like a UFC fighter and you know, oh, I'm going to be fighting in these little tights that they give me, the little spandex tights, then I would go on their website, I would order a pair of exactly what I'm going to be using, and I would train in them over and over and over. Everything you're going to be fighting in, make sure you've trained in it so you understand exactly how it feels and how it may affect you. The final thing to avoid on warm-up day, fight day, is letting yourself go cold. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, we're specifically talking about during your warm-up. You get into the backstage, the locker room, and you start doing whatever the heck you're gonna do. You stretch out, you do some shadow boxing, you stretch out more, you start doing some pad work. If at any point during that process, by the time you make it out to the ring, you've cooled down, everything you did is pretty much for nothing. You want to stay warm. How do you go about staying warm? Because you don't want to warm up non-stop. You don't want to keep moving and moving and moving. Make sure you bring extra apparel. I love bringing a towel from the hotel, and then I can wrap it around my shoulders and it'll help keep some body heat in. It's awful when you go in to compete and in the first round you're going, oh, I feel creaky and I feel really stiff. You want to come out and feel warmed up. So avoid letting your body get cold. And if you start to feel, you're just, ooh, I'm not as warm as I want, bundle up or start moving, because you're much better off having a sweat than being completely cold. That's it, guys. 6 little tips for you to make sure that you are ready on competition day and you don't do anything foolish, which is going to diminish your performance. As always, guys, train hard. I will see you back here soon for another video.